Welcome to the future. Technologies and innovations that sculpt our industry. This episode brought to you by SmartAC.com, providing comfort without concern. Learn more at SmartAC.com. Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC podcast. So today we're spending time with Andrew Fuselier from SmartAC. Andrew, thanks for joining us. So give us a little bit of background behind SmartAC and how it evolved, because we're starting to hear a lot of buzz about the process, the equipment, the opportunity that it provides to the industry, especially with legacy systems. And we'd like to learn a little bit more about it today.
Yeah, so it actually started right about 6 years ago. There was a company that existed that we had before this, and we were primarily focused on energy efficiency around air conditioning, and that was kind of the direction that we've been heading for a while. And through that process of trying to go through contractors and understand what brought value to their business, certainly a consumer loves the idea of paying less for their AC. But we had put in some ports into our monitoring system that allowed for additional health aspects of it, and that's really what the contractors started latching onto and said, "Well, that has value to me. To actually know what's going on has value." So that kind of put us on the journey, saying, "All right, well, is there anything out there like that? Like what exists today?" So, rewind your mental clock back. Sensi had a product out there that was doing something similar. There was a company called Alert Labs. So we tracked down people that had been using it and trying to figure out, okay, well, where's the value for you in this? And it was what we expected. It was like, look, my business relies on me being present in a home, but every truck roll has a cost.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, well, if we can reduce the cost, that's so there's something there. But then another topic came up, which is, well, it takes me a lot of time to retrofit these systems to have the kind of data that I'm looking for that will drive value. And so we said, all right, well, there's another one we got to check off the box. There's the unit economics have to work, but then also it's got to be really simple and fast. And then some contractors that were, I'd say, early adopters of this, they might have 3 different portals, right? They had a Sensi portal, they had a Train portal, and they had a Linux portal. And they're like, okay, now I got to navigate how I do this across multiple different portals on this. We said, all right, well, it's got to work across every OEM, regardless of thermostat. And that's really what set us on the journey of how do we bring effective monitoring to it? And then where's the real value in that? And then we started at the homeowner, because if the homeowner doesn't let it in the home, then you have no chance, right? And so the center of everything that we started creating was, we need to have something that has just immediate value where the homeowner says, yes, I want it, but that it improves the overall economics of the contractor across all of the challenges that we uncovered with membership programs. And that was everything from the homeowner saying, yes, I want it, to many of the traditional programs that existed were really built on the back of a day one discount, right? So it's like, you sign for this membership, I'll give you 10, 50% off today. And that was a lot of the motivation for sign up. So that the customer retention rate wasn't great. Once they had the discount, then they kind of fell off over time relatively quickly. And then we said, okay, well, what are the economics behind your program? How much does a truck roll cost? And as we dug in, what we found is that, yes, on the whole, a lot of these programs actually do return value to a contractor, but way, way, way less than what is possible if you enable a system to have communications and you open up those lines of communication to the homeowner and create just a fantastic customer engagement experience. And so that's really where we started 6 years ago. Is we started with feedback from the market, from the industry, saying this is a hole and this is a problem. And there wasn't really anybody focused on it purely at that level. It was always just, yes, memberships are good, maintenance plans are good, I'm going to have one, but how well are you actually monitoring what that does for you? What's that returning to your business? So that really is the entire foundation fundamentals behind why we created the company and everything we've done.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what intrigued me about it. I've heard about SmartAC for a while, hadn't dove too deep into it, but as we're starting to work with our educational programs and encouraging our programs to start focusing on the technologies, right? The innovations that are happening in our industry, ways that we can become more efficient as an industry. We all struggle with finding good help, whether it's an educator, whether it is a contractor. We're faced with a shortage of prepared and qualified technicians in the field. So anything we can do to help become more efficient is absolutely an asset to the industry. So we'll have a mix in our audience today, and we'd love to know in the chat, are you an educator? Are you a contractor? Are you a student? And particularly if you're a student and have any questions. And so along the way, if you have any questions, any comments, let us know and we'll try to address them. And so I actually, SmartAC sent me a kit that I'll actually play a video here in a minute of walking through, doing an installation, monitoring my system, because now I've got new technology. Don't get me wrong. Here in the studio, in the shop, and in the garage, I run a multi-port in low ambient inverter from Daikin. But on the house, right, it was new construction, came with a 14 SEER single stage AC and a single stage 95 gas furnace. I would love to yank it out, but it's brand new, still under warranty. Nothing I can do about it, right? And so
Yep.
it intrigued me for having a new home and still being able to monitor what my system is doing and utilizing AI for preventative.
When we first get introduced to a new company, and whether they're small or they're large, we say, are these metrics that you can quickly pull up related to your membership program? Like, how readily available are these? We know what the industry standards are. We've done a ton of research to know that. But what about you as an individual contractor? And I'm shocked at the data exists, but how far down we've got to dig to pull out these numbers. It's not their fault, right? There hasn't been really a way to change it. But when you dig into the metrics and you realize your conversion rate, it is what it is, right? And so you think, okay, well, more training for my CSRs, better selling techniques, and more on the techs, like we'll get a higher conversion rate, higher churn, or my retention could be higher. Like they all know that some of these things. But the big one to me is on the no fee truck rolls or low fee truck rolls, right? We say run every ticket at $150 or less that you receive from a membership standard visit. And it's unbelievable how many are out there. And so this is where we start. We say, well, look, this is what we're going to attack. This is what we are here to do, is to take every one of these metrics and improve it. And there's a variety of different things that go behind this. On the conversion side, we spend a ton of time in the customer psychology aspect. What we say is, why are they signing up and why are they leaving, right? It's primarily tied to the motivation of the day one discount. And that's okay, because you want that conversion. But then what's the real value you're delivering past that? What's the homeowner perspective on this? So we've surveyed over 1,000 homeowners on everything related to HVAC and these experiences. And this is what they felt. They felt, well, I got that. And then they showed up 6 months later and immediately they were trying to sell me something else. And then they showed up another 6 months and they're selling me something else again. And not only that, we talk to the technicians and we say, how do you feel about those visits? And almost across the board, they aren't thrilled, especially if most of the technicians out there, they love doing a good job and solving problems, not drumming up ways to sell more stuff, especially to a homeowner where they know the system is, maybe it's not perfectly optimized, but it's still performing. And if the focus goes to the sales pressure, very quickly, the homeowner perspective says, you know what, this is not for me anymore. And they end up moving on. And so when we dig in and we really ask them and challenge them to look at the numbers, about 15% of the visits were driving 99% of profit of the overall program. And a lot of people said, yeah, we know that, right? Contractors like, yeah, we know that. That's why we have to go to every home, because we don't know where it's going to come from. And we're like, well, let's look at it differently. What if you did know? What if you knew where there was revenue opportunity and where there wasn't likely revenue opportunity? How valuable would that be? And so that's what we spend a lot of time looking at, is we surface to contractors where there is opportunity, but it's opportunity based in need. And this is a different perspective because it's not need today, right? It's not a demand call, but it's a call to Ms. Jones to say, look, we know that you're probably comfortable right now. And in fact, we can see it's still 74 in your home and everything looks good. But what you don't see is that your system's been running much harder to maintain that comfort. So you will have a loss of comfort that will necessitate a demand call. We'd rather get ahead of it. Now, homeowners they're not used to this. It's a relatively new thing. And so a lot of times they'll go, you know what? No, thanks. I'm fine. I'll see you later. And that's okay too, because all the system is designed to do, and I say system platform, we're designed to bring transparency and awareness to both sides. So the homeowner is now aware that the contractor is aware there's a problem. So when that thing breaks in 2 weeks or 2 months, they've gotten that phone call and we did our job. The system did its job. The contractor did its job. And the trust level goes up tremendously. And so we've developed now a sense of peace of mind for a homeowner that this is not about something that you're going to just use to come sell me stuff. This is truly something you're looking after for the comfort for my home.
Yeah, that's exactly how I see that. I mean, I think about that from a homeowner. If I get that call, we all get those kind of calls. Are you interested in this? So even if I'm part of a service, I may be like, no, I'm happy right where I'm at. I may not even hear exactly what's being said, right? Until my equipment actually does break down and I go, wait a minute. I missed that. I had the opportunity. I was contacted about this. And I've never experienced that before. You're right. It's a different mentality to think about. And that's why I think it's important for us to understand these types of technologies, because this is going to change not just our perspective, but a lot of consumers' perspectives on a high value HVAC contractor. I mean, that's our goal. Our goal is to have programs that are teaching the students the things that they need to be prepared for the industry. And technology is one of those things that we are responsible for at least keeping them aware of and preparing them for. And these are the kind of things that I do believe will change our industry going forward, is that predictive diagnostics.
Yeah, it's a change. It's a change in the way that you interact with the customer. So there's some discomfort there, right? They're used to responding. They're used to being firefighters, and so the analogy we like to give, is imagine driving a car 100 years ago. It was running or not running, right? And then the dashboard came out, and now you had initial indications of something that might be wrong. Well, now imagine partnering that dashboard with an OnStar that's actively monitoring it, and you're getting a call while you're driving that says, "Hey, your tire's going to go flat in 2 miles, but there's a service shop in 1 mile. If you pull off the road, you can avoid it." Right? It's wildly different, and so that's what we do a lot of training with CSRs on what we call the nurture cycle. Your job is no longer to just say, "Look, we need to be out there right now because we got to fix this." And that there's not a problem that's developed necessarily that's there. But your job is now to nurture. Your job is to bring transparency to what will become an issue. And so it is a different mindset altogether. So the whole aspect of what we've done here is we call smart maintenance. And that's just a new and better way to run your membership program. When we meet, we say, look, here are the goals, right? Here's what we're trying to help you fix. We want to increase your signups, decrease churn, optimize your resources and margin, deliver more repeat services, but that's trusted services, and improve that overall customer experience where they say, I am so thrilled I have this. I'm so thrilled that you as a contractor brought me this. I'm never leaving. And that's evident. We have, through our platform across all of our contractors, over a 97% retention rate in these memberships. So we've just completely changed the way people think about the contractor's relationship from not just being a firefighter that shows up when the problem exists. It's someone who's watching to help prevent the future fires. And that has been awesome for us. And I'd say a big reason why we've grown as quickly as we have.
As we start having these new generations of technicians that are very tech savvy, they're going to be utilizing these tools going forward. I just now finished up with a webinar from some industry professionals discussing the changes and transitions in our industry as a contractor perspective. And I was very intrigued because I was curious to see what the business side was actually showing. And what I hear from the distributors is very similar, that equipment replacement is down, but service parts are up. up. And especially as we're going through these technological transitions and refrigerant transitions, I do believe we're going to see a lot more of a repair-based service for a period of time over the next few years as we're going through these transitions. And so to be able to adequately predict some of these potential failures is going to be extremely important going forward.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean I think that you bring up a good point in that the generation. I think I heard recently the average age is 55 and the 50, 55 in the technician landscape.
Yeah.
We have to spend some time with the technician group for sure. It's a bit of a change. What we say is like, look, this is better for your customer, right? They will respect the options and the interactions you have with them in the future more when you bring this transparency in, and it's better for you. You don't want to be running truck rolls that you know are going to end up in what is a high pressure sales situation where there's not a lot of revenue to be had. Like, so how do we maximize your time on site and increase your overall effectiveness, and hopefully, overall income. So many of the contractors that we have utilize our system on new installations. And there's a couple of reasons. Number one is that if there's a home with a single air conditioning home, right? Single central air system, and you've just pulled a lot of the margin out of that relationship, you don't really want to go back that much because the big ticket's been had, but you want to service that customer and create, customer lifetime value. How do you do that? Well, you can put monitoring on to know when you need to go back and actually go back. Then you can delay those visits to when there's something needed or at the request of the customer specifically, right? So there's some avoidance there that makes sense operationally. But the second benefit that we didn't actually envision this as being a strong use case, but has become, is it's validation for the commissioner's job. And what's happened is usually we've characterized the system fully within 48 to 72 hours. We're looking at all the conditions associated with it. We're looking at outside air. We're looking at system operation, building environment conditions, homeowner behavior, and we can see what's going on. Well, imagine at 48 to 72 hours, the contractor knows that something's wrong before the homeowner does. Right. So we've uncovered, improper manufacturing fan settings, and I'll say improper. I'm not placing blame on anybody, but it wasn't set up correctly, And so what we're seeing is, the customer's comfortable, but this thing's dehumidifying like crap. And when the conditions come up, the customer's going to know they're going to feel sticky and humid. So the contractor now knows, and he's calling the customer and saying, "Hey, we hope you're enjoying your new system. We love to do a quality happy visit where we just come back and recheck everything." What he's really there to do is to cover up what will be a callback, but that callback might happen in June, July, or August when you don't want it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so there's some really cool stuff that's come out of it, and it's all powered by the data. And I'll qualify saying, I'm a mechanical engineer out of school, and early on I was definitely a part of the concept and building it in the engineering. But we turned it over to experts. And so you guys are much more qualified to ask deep engineering questions and answer them than I am. So I'll go as deep as we can. But what the system is doing, smart maintenance involves data collection, data visualization, customer engagement. The collection starts with how do we actually get the data, right? And this is where people tend to be a little bit blown away, and they say, how do you do that with 3 sensors? And it really is just 3 sensors that create this experience. We have what we call the comfort sensor. It sits on the outside of the supply vent, and we're monitoring temperature and humidity in this case. So we're getting the output, but the output delivered to the actual environment where the comfort needs to be delivered. The filter sensor, and this is on the return air input. This one is doing temperature and humidity, but it's also doing pressure, right, downstream of the air filter. So we're looking at airflow. So we've got vent-to-vent delta T across those with temperature. But then we also have the static pressure that builds up as particulates build up on the filter. So we can see where levels shouldn't be, right, that are high limit. And we can look at static. And this does several things, obviously. Like, it's not only is the system running at a healthy level, like is there a problem that needs to be addressed with airflow as a whole, but on a clean filter, as it builds up, the homeowner needs to be notified at some point. Like, tell me a homeowner that knows exactly when an air filter needs to be changed. Like, it doesn't exist. Right? In our polling, 20% of homeowners have never ever changed the air filter ever. Right? Didn't even know it existed. I mean, in our beta testing, I had people tell me, "Oh, my system doesn't need a filter." I'm like, "Oh, really? That's incredible. Show me what kind of system you have." And so that really gives us a great view of the actual delivered performance to the system. And then we also, during our research, looked at so much of the calls are related to the dehumidification, right, and water, right? Should it be present, and where should it be present? If it's in the drain pan, you've already got an issue. And so bringing that up and highlighting it, homeowners get this information, contractors get this information, and it's a way. This is a big one, right? This is what because people know water leads to damage, and so this is a huge motivator, right? So you start stacking up the motivations on why people sign up for this. And it's not just because of a discount. There's all these other things like, oh, this will save me from water. Like that's a good thing. So the contractor, we simplify it, right? Data is not useful to anyone, right? So we've got a principle here that all data has to result in a recommended action, because if it's not a recommended action, then nobody gets any value out of it. So yes, we've got rich data, but from a contractor side, we just want to let them know where there's revenue opportunity and that the homeowner is actually being cared for. But that's all done through our side. We'll let you know when there's an issue. We want you to be the hero to place that call to the homeowner, say, hey, we're concerned. But behind the scene, there is immense amounts of data. We're collecting data every 30 seconds, and we can see everything. We can see on-off cycles of the pressure. We can see the temperature drop. We can see the space, time to temp, time between cycles, and then also the effectiveness of each cycle. And that's measured against all sorts of things. Obviously, outside air and humidity play a big difference or role in that. And so we're constantly characterizing the system, not only what it's doing today, but what the nameplate said it was capable of in a lab setting, right, and also what it's doing against itself, right? So much of these failures in comfort, right? When we call a breakdown as a failure in comfort, not even necessarily a failure in equipment, right? So much of these failures in comfort result from things that get worse over time. And these trends are observable, right? And I don't want to say it's simple and it's easy. It's not. We worked on all of this for years sure, before we ever brought it out into the public, because we knew the hardest grades on this stuff are the guys like you that understand exactly how these systems operate. And if we came out saying stuff that wasn't true, or we didn't fully understand what was going on, we get lambasted, right? So we have data scientists. We've got people that literally have their masters in the design and implementation of HVAC systems. Like there's a lot of smart people that look behind the scenes and craft all of this data and turn it into actions. And that's on both sides, right? The homeowner and the contractor.
Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. This is a good conversation. I'm glad that we got to discuss this. Look forward to diving deeper down the road. I don't need to get too far into the analytics. I got enough to nerd out on my side so far, but I'll definitely keep in touch. And if anyone wants to learn more, Andrew, how can they find out more about SmartAC?
Well, it's in the name, smartac.com. If you go there and you're a contractor, you're looking to connect, there's a partner, data collection area. We want to collect basic information about you. We can reach out and have a further conversation. If you want to just connect with me directly, you can go to my LinkedIn, Andrew Fuselier, type that in. There's not a lot of us out there. I think there's one. And then ping me, and happy to connect that way. Or my email is andrew.fuselier@smartac.com. There's a number of different ways, but love to connect with anybody that has an interest in it. And honestly, just figure out how to help your business. We've seen a lot of change in the last year or two with PE roll-ups and the cost of advertising increasing. So our whole goal is, how do you take people out of the advertising pool? How do you reallocate to some of that budget to have revenue that's going to come back to you without competing for it?
All right. Well, Andrew, thanks so much. We encourage everyone to reach out to smartac.com. And we will see you all again next week on Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC show. Bye, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.